Alright guys, so today's video, episode 1 here, is to start today's Monday, October 27th. We did not take any sort of trades today whatsoever. 100k, 6 months, that's the goal. Not 100k a month, not 10k a month, not this and that, but 100k made from trading alone, having a 6-month timeline starting now. Also know to reach that 100k goal, certain thoughts and patterns and views have to be shifted. Therefore, I will continue on reading books on business and life philosophy while also studying successful traders and habits and what habits they had to instill to reach that success. Credible traders, ones from Robin Cubs, hedge funds, Chicago Pits, successful entrepreneurs and traders, studying them and understanding what habits and successful mindsets they had to instill to reach that level of success they reached. Most of the time it's not about the goal, but rather the journey and the process in which you develop into a new person than you were when you first started. We all love seeing those montages of progression videos, but don't see the hard work and dreadful nights it took to reach those highs. And so we sweep the lows under the rug. To reach our goal, of course, we need a game plan to tackle it correctly and revise it along the way. Since we know it's not going to be perfect, but we just need to start and put one foot in front of the other along the journey, even able to obtain the goal. So starting, we're halfway there already. We buy a prop account, which we already have. We 1 trade per day. We risk 1%. We aim for a 1 to 2, follow the system. And then we journal the trades, we review the trades, we collect insights and important data sets from the trades. We use those insights/data sets to backtest and see improvements, and then eventually use the new data sets that we've collected and implemented into the strategy after backtesting. And we gained more data, insights, and all that from the backtesting session to see, the statistics improve along the way. And then we rinse and repeat the process after we're live trading. Number 2 is take good trades and pass a combine. Simple as that, but it's not so simple. The emotional, psychological aspect of trying to be a successful trader is the most challenging, but of course, technically, if you're able to improve and you're able to understand your system like it's the back of your hand, trading will become a lot easier. Since you know what you're looking for, what works, what doesn't work, and you've been, putting in that hours that basically should be putting in to see the success you want to see. And number 3, once funded, use payouts to buy more accounts. So we rinse, basically step 1 and 3. The 80-20 principle in trading. I think I've read 80-20 principle. Of course, it's a generic principle that I've read in other books, but I never really applied to my scenario that I have. But I recently stumbled upon it when I was reading Master Your Thinking, one of the books I'm currently reading right now. Think about it in a terms of trading way, like what are the 20% inputs that lead to the 80% outcome that I want to receive whenever I'm trading. Most of my 20% inputs come from journaling, revising data collection to improve my system, backtesting the new data and seeing more improvements and using that in live market conditions. Quality over the quantity. That's why trading 1 trade a day and 1% risk per trade is so crucial, because again, quality of the setup and the timing of when you're entering and all these important factors come into consideration. And that's what makes a high probability setup even more high probability. And it's like having a bow and arrow and shooting at a target that is standing still as opposed to moving all over the place. You want to be like a sniper, waiting, being patient, and just taking the shot when it's very, very easy and you're going to hit the target. Not trying to rush the process nor think of impressing the people watching this or letting our ego get the best of us. Remaining humble at all times and being a student of life. That's very, very crucial, because again, you can have your 10k month, but then after that you think you know it all, you think you've done it all, and the next month you're gonna 10x, when in reality you have to remain humble and continue to put in the work and not allow the quick dopamine to get to you. Like you see a lot of traders take one really good trade or a good trade and then they spaz out. They go crazy, their emotions go all over the place, and the next thing you know, the next couple of days they start a losing streak. Forgot the system that got them there, and they just think they know it all and they think they have reached a pinnacle of trading, when in reality you have to remain humble and stick to your system and your approach. That includes reading more, using that knowledge to improve our life, which then improves our trading. Grown and learned a lot from reading. I think, of course, you just can't read a book and plan to know it all. You have to actually take notes, revise the notes, implement the notes into your life, and to see the progression over time. It doesn't happen overnight. You can't just watch a video and expect to learn and know that certain topic overnight. It takes time. So reviewing the trades / the notes often, and reviewing the notes that we've read, and implementing it into a journal from those key concepts and those key principles that we've learned from the book to then apply to our life, and reviewing that journal and trying to build ways and systematic approaches to improve and continuing to use, you know, those principles and insights that we've learned, and of course continuing to backtest and research. So it's one thing I've always tried to do is avoid failure, and in my previous video I talked about it too. So, you know, like trying to like avoid backtesting, you know, because I learn new concepts. My strategy has to be 80%, has to be 90% win rate. It's the user that makes the error majority of the time. So backtesting, you're able to train the eye more, and you're able to really become a better user of those concepts to then eventually apply them into the live markets and not feel that FOMO, not feel that anxiousness or those emotions that you feel whenever you're in the live markets using concepts that you've barely, you know, been using for a month or two. And that's basically what happened this month. Building our patience to the next level, learning to wait for those confirmational signals for the trade to hit our TP or stop loss, learning to wait for the market conditions to be in our favor. Waiting is what makes the person profitable. So, you know, waiting is like 50% of trading. Waiting for your setup, waiting for your take profit or your stop loss to be hit, waiting for the market conditions to be in your favor. Waiting. Trading is waiting. You have to wait for the market to open. You have to wait for these things to happen. You have to wait for this level to be hit. You have to wait for the confirmation of your entry to be presented. And the market is selling off. You can see that there. We bought NQ all the way up there, like around there. You saw the market we're about to sell it off, except for Dow Jones. Here was the trade idea, and the account is cooked. The account is freaking cooked. Thank you. You see that there? Look at the trade. Right there, you see that there? 494, 491, $3 left. We took an entry off of this 3 minutes. So we took an entry off of that, and it failed. Stopped out. Alright, so the account we traded today is basically cooked. It reached the profit or the daily loss limit, which is about to hit the maximum loss limit soon. Hopefully we don't get off to a bad start this week. One thing I did realize was I didn't have a pre-day / pre-market game plan. Got right on the charts. Really unhealthy habit. We need to start changing that real soon. And I don't want to make it to where it's too time consuming, where we're like way too time consuming in the pre-market game plan. You know, I want to have like a strict procedure of what I do. So one thing I did want to talk about was the backtesting session. We backtested 1 month of data. Yeah, in August and July, we backtested around 8 hours. We're at 6 hours for October. You see the results are a little bit, you know, they're up, down, up. It's not a guaranteed we're gonna take a trade every single day, and it's not a guaranteed we're gonna find at least 4 trades per week. Before though, I was taking so many trades. I realized whenever I started incorporating the other confluences into the system, I was taking a trade every single day. But here's the session. Profit and loss, P&L is 3.79.50, close to 7%. Again, if we were on suppose a funded account, we would have probably passed for the month of June. As you can see here, what we had started off really rough here. First trade, second trade we lost, made it back in 1 trade, lost that trade, and then eventually we lost again. So we had two losing streaks right here of 2 trades, and then we won that. So again, the risk to reward is very, very crucial here. We have a 1 to 2 risk to reward. We have a 1 to 2 risk to reward. Basically had another win, and then another win, and then we hit break even, another small win, break even, another small win, break even. So we had 3 break evens for 1 hour, and then yeah, we have a 60% win rate, 1 to 2 risk to reward. If we drop the risk to reward, we would have a higher win rate. So that's one thing I'm looking at right now. You can see the sells and the buys, total trades, win rate, 75% buy, sells. We always lose when we're selling. July, you know, I never really traded June also. I didn't trade June and July. Of course, we traded August, September, and October. We didn't trade the first quarter of the year, first 2 quarters. So yeah, 1 win in here, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then right here, 1 trade. This trade we had 3 trades. We had 4 trades this week. What confluences do A+ setups have that distinguish them from like B+, C+ setups or losing trades? Same thing with today. You know, we took an L. I realized I just didn't have a higher time from confluence. We're trading inside of a premium, way too deep into a premium. I just wasn't really like able to like really have the speed and the volatility because the market is waiting for FOMC. So trading is waiting. We would have passed an account. You know, trading like this, we can pass accounts. You know, pass accounts and get payouts. Be profitable, you know? Being able to withstand those losing periods and able to hold those runners and those winners is what makes a trader. Simple as that. Yeah, we haven't been reading either. Pretty unfortunate. I need to distinguish these journals too. Like, I feel like I haven't really been doing that enough. I haven't really been reading. I need to start reading. I didn't read yesterday. I was backtesting yesterday for a little bit. But after that, the whole day I really just slept. Read my trades, review my journal. I did say we're going to stop learning for a little bit. So I am planning on actually not, you know, watching playlists and like gaining new insights for now. Alright guys, so I want to have this little announcement for the vlog here. I think I turned my exposure up. I look a little too white. But who cares? That these 6 months, bro, like by the time we reach April, if I'm not at where I want to be like in terms of being funded, being a full-time trader, or being like a consistent trader, making like, you know, close to 10K a month every month. If we don't reach that 100K goal, there should be some consequences, I think. You know, that's my honest opinion, because like you should hold yourself to that high of a standard to the point where you don't want to lose. You don't, like, there's no room for error, bro. Like, that's my most important, crucial thing. It's your goal, bro. There's not enough consequences like to make you want to reach that goal, in my honest opinion. And I always see a lot of successful people talking about how you have to be willing to put yourself through that suffering. And I have to create myself a system to the point where it's inevitable for me to like not achieve my goals unless I don't put in the work and I don't show up that day and I don't work that hard. It really is inevitable for you to like not succeed in life if you don't put in enough work. A lot of people always talk about, you know, oh, hard work, blah, 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 you know, it doesn't always, blah, blah. But hard work does win, bro. I trust, my friend, trust. All right, so I just got off work, but I had an idea, I had a dilemma. We learned how to use our finances correctly. Okay, let's think about this. So I was hearing the podcast on Words of Wisdom, the person that learned from Larry Williams, and he gave me a great insight, you know? What happened if you got $1 million tomorrow? You would go broke the next 3 years. You wouldn't know how to manage that money correctly. And that really hit me. He says people don't even know the basics of finance. You know, like we don't know any basic financial literature and how to compound. It blew my mind away because like this whole time, bro, every single time I get a paycheck, I leave it in my bank account. I put it in my savings, you know, and I try to save money, blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, I end up wasting more than I'm, you know, saving, or I'm initially trying to save, so I'm not budgeting correctly. All this shit's going to waste. So we need to change that. We need to come up with a plan. So when I get home right now, alright, so we just got done doing a trade recap here. One account is cooked, I won't lie. One of my accounts is cooked. I have 3 free resets that I'm gonna use, so I don't plan on buying another account. I plan on just keeping this active subscription going on for the next month or two. And then, of course, following the model, following the system. Yesterday, what was I doing? Reviewing my trades and putting them in a catalog. Well, not catalog, I was just defining them, like being more objective as to what made that trade more successful as opposed to the other one. And then you can see here, what are we doing? We're doing the higher time from Confluence, confirmation, SMT, and then eventually our entry. And we only got to 4 trades, but I really plan on like defining them more. This is like my play. I'm trading this, why I'm not trading that. That's what I'm really trying to do right now. I'm trying to like have it in my to-do list for today. Number 1 is, so here it is, review backtested trades plus notes, review October trades plus notes, review trading notes reviewed, so, and then reading books for today. We're taking keynotes for any insights that we can apply to our trading, to our personal life, to our personal development, and we're gonna review and analyze that. Same thing with the trading notes and all that. I've still yet to review that, and again, I've still yet to finish 2 playlists that I need to watch. So we need to finish those 2 playlists, and then eventually after that we're going to start another 4, because again, during these 6 months, bro, I'm pushing myself. There's no distractions, there's no room for distractions, there's no room for me sitting on my TV last night watching other traders talking about their psychology. You just need to do this and that, do this and that. Again, we have everything down. I swear I have everything down. It's really just putting in the work now and eliminating distraction and room for error and self-sabotage. Because again, we have every single thing. I just showed you my confluences, I just showed you guys what I'm doing, my playbooks, this and that, you know, best trades. I'm going over it, defining them. We need to take it a step notch. We need to take it like another level. We need to be reviewing that, ingraining that. Certain restrictions we have to not take a trade, which restrictions we need to have to take a trade. What makes a high quality setup versus a low quality setup? When is it going to form? When doesn't it form? What conditions does it, you know, make it more high probability? What conditions does it not make it high probability? So, because again, these are very, very important things in order for me to level up my trading. And again, my trade frequency too, I want to lower it. But again, I want to trade every single day, but in the back of my mind, I know like every single day is not always going to be a trading day. And like when I'm back testing, I'm only taking like really 2 trades to 1 trade a week, maybe 3 trades max. Here, look at that. We took longs here, and then the market came up, came down, came up, chopped around, then came down. The reason why I moved my stop loss to break even was because look at the 1 hour. Look at where we're at. I've learned we're inside of the premium. We need to retrace into equilibrium of the range and then push up higher. Look at what trade we took yesterday. Hold on, let me show you guys. So this was on the account we blew. This is where we took our trade here on gold. We go to the 3-minute. Reason for this trade, we took a long right here. As soon as we retrace up into this inversion fair value gap. Sorry, you guys can't probably see. So we retraced into this inversion fair value gap right here, and then we took into this one, and then we took a long. We got stopped out at this low because our stop loss was right here. But reason for that is because we thought we were going to form, again, we were going to form a CRT right here, and then eventually we had a 4-hour EVP So if you can see the market here, form that 4-hour EBP, sweep of the low, close above, and let the market open up, push down lower, push a little bit too low, and then eventually stop this out. And then the next candle would expand. It was strong expansion there. And then we took another trade on NQ, I believe. Let's see, was it NQ? Yeah, so we did take a long on NQ. Same reasoning, same logic here, but I went over that trade, why this was a flop, I won't lie. So in the 3 minutes right here, this is where we took our trade. Off of this 3-minute inversion fair value gap, we had a 15-minute CRT low sweep right here. That was a sweep, pushed up, formed an inversion fair value gap. That's where we took the long, and then the market came down and it stopped us out. Our stop loss was at the BPR low. I wish I had a larger tripod, but again, listening to the podcast of Riz, with the guy that trained for Larry Williams, you know, how many of us are financially literate? How many of us are financially stable? How many of us know the basics of finance and compound interest and investing into the correct assets long term? I don't know much of that, you know, like I still have so much to learn. I still have to remain humble. And even if I make 10K in 1 month, or if I make 100K by the end of the 6-month challenge, what is our long-term perspective? What is our goal? Like, you know, like how are we going to be able to maintain that money? That's something that like lingers in the back of my mind, and it haunts me because like I still have so much more to know. I mean, I still have so much more to learn. Again, that's a question I pose. How many of us will succeed in trading? Even if you are a successful trader, how are you going to manage the profits you make to sustain it in the long run and not blow your money, you know, like every other person, I guess, that tries to reinvest it all and blows it all, you know, or doesn't know the taxes and all that, you know. It's very, very important. There's more to trading than just trading. I think that's why reading those books and like studying those podcasts is so crucial, because we're able to learn information we never thought we would need, and that's what, you know, builds a person and their character, and like in this journey of being an entrepreneur is all about. And again, I showed you guys the playbook, I showed you guys what I'm doing, how I'm trading, all this and that, you know, but it's time to put in the work, you know. Like I can show you, talk about it, but if I'm not putting in the work, if I'm not finishing the journaling, the confluences, defining what makes a high probability setup, and like really defining my edge through my journal, then I won't succeed in trading. And it's simple as that, you know, because I'm going to continue to be doing guesswork, and I'm going to continue to show up in the market and not, you know, sustain ask these prop firms. I'm going to continue giving money to them and letting them use that money to pay out people that are profitable and that have an edge. Alright guys, I got back from the park, we went on a walk, but today I really thought about it, you know. Today we broke our rules, we didn't follow the system, we didn't trade the system, and we haven't even reviewed and analyzed the system enough, so that's what I really plan on doing. But the shift has been happening recently, and of course we're listening to the podcast here. The shift that I've been having recently, I read in the book, you know, but also understand your long-term perspective mindset versus your short-term perspective mindset. And I continue to allow myself to have that short-term mindset perspective shift in my trading, control myself in my trading, as opposed to the long-term. The long-term is like follow the system, follow the rules, you will pass accounts, you'll get payouts. Short-term is we need to trade today, we need to make money today, we need to feel some progression, or we need to find something. But if we shifted from the short-term to the long-term, we would be more patient, we wouldn't be as greedy, and we wouldn't have FOMO. We wouldn't feel the impatience, we wouldn't feel the anger and the resentment and the guilt every time we took a trade, or every time we take a trade that's not following the system. Alright, so it's Thursday. I won't be able to trade today. As you can see, it's basically Thursday. And yesterday we were back testing. Yesterday I was back testing. It was a weird session though. Every time I would win, I would lose. And then eventually like, I would make that win back. I wasn't really aiming for much. I was aiming for like 1 hour, 2 hour trades. As you can see, after trade 18, like nothing really, everything went to shambles. Let's see if you focus. Trade 18 all the way to like trade 20. Certain periods where you know you're gonna like not be profitable, you have to understand the conditions and the reasonings why, and that's something I'm about to do right now when I get back. But yeah, you know, like that's the reason. Of course I want to backtest more, I want to have more trades, more data. I can do that, but the point of backtesting is to review, to analyze, to learn, and then to reflect on what you're doing wrong versus what you're doing right, and then use that to your advantage. Because, you know, during trade 6 all the way through 13, we had a 5 trade winning streak. I want to maintain that momentum. Of course, I don't want to have certain periods. I mean, certain periods of drawdown is inevitable. You know, like you're gonna lose sometimes. You're not always gonna win. I didn't even get to finish reading the chapter I was reading. So when I get home at 4 o'clock today, I'm gonna finish reading, and then we're gonna go back to reviewing and then back testing after that. All right, so look, if we go to my thing, look at my stats. They're not bad. Look at this right here. Look at the equity curve.
It's not bad. First 5 trades, look, boom, push us up. Started to chop now. 22 trades, 4 break evens, 55% win rate, and 1 to 5 average RR. The average is a 1 to 2, but of course some trades I would aim for a 1 to 1. Max ideal is 1 to 8. Max is 1 to 2.58. Majority of the trades I could have held, but some trades I know not to hold. And then you can see here, 10 winners, 8 losers. We have to numb this down, I won't lie. I don't like taking this many losses in 2 trades, but we have a 50% win rate, you know? And I want to increase the win rate by any means possible. So that means we're gonna have to be more strict with the rules and like add more rules. We have 5 winners, 2 losers. And yeah, losing max consecutive wins 5, max consecutive losses 2, 0.38, 0.14, 1.5, 0.9, 2.63, TC buys, sells. And you see the most profitable day is Friday. I mean, the most profitable day is Thursday and Wednesday. Tuesday and Monday are like a little bit sketchy, but Friday we don't take any trades. As you can see, Friday, every single like time we take a trade on Friday, we lose. Yeah, you see that there. We don't win Friday majority of the time. Majority of our best trades are Wednesday and Thursday. Majority of the time, it being Thursday. And then Monday's a hit or miss. I won't lie, Monday's a hit or miss. And then same thing with Tuesday. Tuesday's more of a hit or miss. All I know is Wednesday and Thursday are just like super high probability. So I'm gonna be very mad missing today. I won't lie.
Alright, so it's really freaking cold. I'm about to go to work. Again, one thing that stumbles in my mind is defeating that short-term mindset. I feel like we have that short-term mindset that's holding us back from trading successfully. And again, objectively, I want to reach for that 70% win rate, that 60% win rate, instead of having a 50% win rate with a 1 to 1.5 or 1 to 2 risk reward, you know. I know it's going to increase if we continue to put in the work. If we continue to put in the work, bro, everything is going to just skyrocket from here. It's going to be a snowball effect.
Spend it when I get that. I ain't trying to keep you.
One thing I will tell you guys, whenever you're working a 9 to 5, do not get tired, bro. You cannot get tired. You have to keep pushing even whenever you feel tired, I guess. Whenever like you think you're off work and like you went through a long day of work, that's when you should go through it the most. That's when you should push harder. That's when you like you go 110% right there. If your work ethic increases, you should never be satisfied with anything you're doing in life. And that goes with trading too. Like, you know, whenever I'm trading, whenever I'm backtesting, I usually catch myself and I get really emotional whenever I catch a win, as opposed to whenever I catch a loss. I like feel discouraged. I feel this and that. And when I'm reading the book Emotional Intelligence, those emotions, you should not, you know, label them as good or bad. You should not feel, you know, a certain way only because, or you shouldn't react a certain way only because you feel that way. You should continue going even if, you know, you feel a certain way. Those emotions are there for a reason, and they're trying to tell you something, you know. They're trying to paint the picture for you, but you're just not able to like fully grasp the painting, I guess you can say. So yeah, I'm about to go eat something real quick. I'm not gonna lie, bro, this 8 to 4 shift basically is like a regular 9 to 5 shift. Been killing me. I usually work in the afternoons. And yeah, we're just trying to get that bread to buy more funded accounts, but again, I'm not really trying to spend too much money on funded accounts. I blew 5. I was trying to scale too quick. Again, I got humbled. Now we're back testing again. I'm only gonna trade one account, try to pass that account and then scale from there. All right guys, so we got back home. We're good now. We have the little setup here. Let me show you guys. We have the little setup. We have the candle lit up. Right here, the book. We still haven't finished that chapter. We still have to finish this one. We have to read a chapter in here. Today is what? Thursday. We got tomorrow. We don't work tomorrow. And then Saturday and Sunday we work. So speed run. Not really speed run, but like put more time into reading. And before, you know, I'm still reading, you know, but it's like, bro, whenever I you know, sit down and I look at the pages and I look at the words and the book, this is exhausting, you know, like this is gonna be hard. In my mind, I'm thinking like this is gonna be hard, but that's an emotional standpoint, you know, like I'm emotionally thinking instead of me just actually doing the work. Because again, when I actually get into that flow state, like I know anybody can agree with this, but like whenever you enter a flow state, whenever you're doing something, the time goes by really quick and you start to just enjoy the thing you're doing, you know, like, you know, you're making progress. You're learning, you're growing and developing as an individual. All right, so we took longs today and I took an L. Took longs on YM. You guys can see basically, but we had an SMT there. We also had an SMT ski here, but it wasn't sequential. So then the market came down and it stopped me out one more time before creating the final SMT there. And yeah, we basically entered off of that 1 minute inversion, which completely got shattered, I won't lie to you. Yeah, just really chop fest here, nothing really viable. You can see we entered here, next handle just came and dropped. We are forming another one here, but the account's already locked out, maximum loss limit hit right there. So yeah, really, there was no real good entry here. So you can see the trade idea was correct. The target would have been met, which was that objective. Yeah, that was really it. See the SMTs here, nothing really much. There was no really like 3 minute or 5 minute confluence to enter off of. There was no 3 minute inversion. There was no 5 minute inversion. And yeah, there was no like 5 minute retrace to enter and then push up higher. 15 minute time frame, nothing really either. What we can see though is we had a 15 minute CRT there. So let's work this out real quick. We had that low swept. This is your third candle. Boom. There. Then you can look for, you know, the inversion. You would have probably entered off of this one. The market comes back down, boom, stops you out, and then it pushes up higher. Very sloppy day, honestly. One of those days where like you can get cooked. It's one of those days where like it's inevitable to like take an L. If I'm being truly honest, if you're trading YM. Another thing too I saw was I didn't wait for the closures of like these right here, the 15 minute, even the 5 minute. Honestly, I didn't wait for these closes to confirm the SMT. And then eventually we got that SMT with these lows right here. That is your actually on the 15, you can see the 15, it looks a lot more clear than the 5 minute. The 15 minute looks a lot more clear here. So yeah, we didn't wait for that 15 minute close up there to get that SMT. Alright, so we just got done journaling. Here is the timer, here is the trade we journaled. As you can see, we basically journaled, and again, we had that 1 hour CRT. And again, the 15 minute time frame, we didn't wait for that closure. And then the 5 minute time frame, we didn't really have anything here. If we traded the 15 minute CRT here, we could have waited for that 1 minute entry, which would have been right here off this inversion, or maybe a 2 minute entry. That wouldn't be bad either. Could have traded that, which is like right here, and then eventually take longs to the upside for that 1 hour CRT. So pairing it correctly, pairing these time frames correctly, 15 minute equals 1 minute, 30 minute equals 3 minute, and then the 1 hour equals the 5 minute for sure. Of course, in my backtesting sessions, I've had that 30 minute with the 1 minute entry, or at times I would have a 30 minute or a 1 hour higher time frame confluence and a 15 minute confluence, and I failed to realize that today. So again, we're getting stuck on those lower time frames, scaling too quickly into like the lower time frames. And again, today we did take a loss, going to the gym right now. I guess losses are really our lessons, you know, like you learn, you live, you grow as an individual. And one thing I want to talk about is like seeing other people progress. I'm not gonna lie, I'm seeing a lot of other traders, you know, getting payouts. You know, they were unprofitable, now they're, you know, passing funded accounts, getting payouts. And again, it's all noise, in my honest opinion. I just see it as noise. And that's good for them that they're, you know, having success. If it's not benefiting you, bro, no point of feeling any sort of way, you know, like there's no point of feeling envy, jealousy, this and that, you know. The best people usually know how to cut out the noise. They usually know how to focus on themselves and bet on themselves even more, you know. It all comes down to hard work. I know those people that are getting those results, they didn't get them just because of sheer luck, you know. They showed up every single day, they put in the fucking work, bro. Even though like I know I've throughout this year, bro, if I'm being truly honest, all I've done was trade from late July all the way to now. January, February, March, April, May, June, I was not trading. I won't lie, I was bullshitting around in my fucking life. I wasn't really trading. Now we're locked in, bro. So again, that's why I'm trying to give myself 6 months, a good timeline, a good progression. Okay, so I just got done with my workout session. Pretty exhausted right now, I won't lie to you. Hit legs, went to the sauna. Now we're on the way back home. I'm probably gonna go eat, you know, probably review the trades a little bit, get some more data, get some more insights. Maybe, if not, maybe meditate and then journal and come back home, or go to the park, walk my dog, and then come back home and just read and then review everything and get prepared for this weekend, honestly, and then start editing this video. Or maybe tomorrow I'll start editing. That's what I'm sipping on right now, guys. Ghost Energy, grape one. What else?
Another thing I bought, unhealthy. I know, very, very unhealthy. But yeah, we were never able, some quarters too to go to the car wash. Got my dirty shirt, and then the phone. And then I also got my little water jug. Water's empty. Got my other water bottle hiding under here. I don't know if you can hear it. But yeah, the other water bottle right here. That's basically what's in the whip.